What if I just like clammed up and didn't say anything?
We would just edit it out.
Yeah, remember?
I knew you were going to be good at this. I didn't know how good you were.
I was drugged up a little.
Okay.
Whew, okay.
Whew, all right. 3, 2.
Welcome to your mom. Your mom podcast. Your mom's podcast.
This isn't any podcast. This is your mother's podcast.
My mom's podcast.
Nah, dude, she's your mom.
With Ashley Allison and Lisa McCaffrey.
Your mom is a podcast.
Shut up, dude.
I just have to say that this is the one time that I wish that people could see you, that this wasn't an audio medium, that it was more video, because Lisa McCaffrey is doing some, I don't know what you were just doing.
It's warm up. It's my warm up. Come on,
Okay.
Ashley.
Okay. Are you warmed up? You look warmed up, girl.
For the most part, I'm ready to go. I'll wing it. Let's go. Thank God it's just audio.
Oh, thank goodness it's just audio. No kidding. All right. Welcome to your mom, everybody. Oh man, this has been awesome. The feedback.
It's been an awesome journey so far.
It has.
Awesome journey. I
It
love
really
it. Yes.
has.
We're trekking. We're working. We're working hard. We're trying. We're trying.
I knew there was going to be a way that I was going to get you to talk to me every week, and I had to start a podcast to do it, but it's working, and you've come back every week, and I'm really thankful for that.
Docker.
Yep. But the feedback honestly has been awesome. So I just want to first and foremost, say thank you to everybody, all of our family members.
Thank you for the 3 listeners. You guys are amazing. All 3 of you are awesome.
You see that we have some international listeners?
Mom, Croatia. Are you kidding
Croatia,
me? We should go
Italy.
do a live one in Croatia.
Shout out.
There was only one in Croatia, but
that one, that's we're talking to you. Whoever's in Croatia listening to your mom, we love you and thank you for finding us. This one's for you. Yeah. This whole episode goes out to you. And if this is your first time joining the podcast or listening to the podcast or finding it, welcome. We love you. We're happy.
We welcome you
here.
with open arms.
I don't know what the hell you've been doing the last month, but better late than never.
Seriously.
Hop on the train, baby.
Right.
Let's go. Have you been getting some good feedback though, Lisa?
I have, yes. I've actually had great feedback. My best friend from college, her and her husband listened to it and had nothing but good things to say. My other really good friend here, who's very critical, will be honest, said 5 stars. I was like, Are you kidding me? Yep. And like I said, they will be honest. So I loved it. They said they want more Ashley and they want me to shut my big fat cake hole. That's all they've said though. The only criticism. So here we go.
And what did you told me?
Floor,
you texted me the other day and said that Luke,
yeah.
Sweet baby angel Luke, had some good feedback, but you never told me what it was.
My perfect baby angel Luke, who's out at Rice, told me this. He said he barely knows I'm doing this. He's so preoccupied with training camp and football and getting ready. He's like one track mind. I was like, oh, what's happening with girls? Oh, I'm married to the game, Mom. Married to the game. That's all he says. So he said he walked into get a lift, get a good workout in, and his head strength coach, who he absolutely loves and adores, had his back to him, didn't even was in there, and was talking on the phone to his wife. And the 2 of them were listening to our podcast, laughing out loud about it. And his wife was like, no, did you hear that? Did you hear that? And supposedly it was like a nice banter back and forth. And Luke was like, they're listening to my mom. Like, what? Like, she's so
your
annoying.
mom, Luke. That's
your
right.
mom. Yeah. But he said that the strength coach, evidently the strength coach at Rice's wife really likes it. So shout out to her too.
I cannot
wait to meet you. I will be there for the first home game. And
we're going to get you like
cheers.
a fruit basket or something. Yeah. We'll get you a drink. Or
yes, exactly.
I'll tell you what, the tweet that made my day, and we just got this the other day, was from, I think she's a mom of a player, a safety at the University of Washington. And she just tweeted and said, I'm driving from Seattle to Phoenix to take my baby of 4 to college and really enjoying this podcast. I'm finding myself laughing out loud, tearing up, and nodding in agreement over so many topics. I love it. Thank you. And I want to say, like, one of the goals when we launched, we're like, okay, what do people want to feel when they listen to this?
That's it.
The nodding and the smiling and the understanding, like motherhood feels lonely sometimes, which is weird when you think about it, because you're never alone, which is,
it's one of the, people don't get it. It's one of the loneliest things ever. You at the end of the day, if you talk to an adult, you're like, wow, this is what it's like to talk to an actual adult. Cause You are a caretaker. You are just there for these little kids to make sure they're fed, clothed, bathed, they sleep enough. All of that thing. All you do is care about their needs, and your needs are not taken care of. They're not met. And then to like be, acknowledged by another human being just feels so good at the end. It's kind of nice as a mom. So it's very lonely. It can be a very lonely experience at times. I remember that.
Which again, I think from the outside, people are like, well, what do you mean? You've got kids and you're busy and but I will say, and there was something that you said in a recent, I think it was in last week's episode that really resonated with a lot of my friends because I got a lot of texts about this. But you talked about getting in a fight with Ed at the beginning of every football season and at the end of every football season, and the tension.
And now it's during every.
That exists. No. Yeah, now it's every week. No, but
maybe less. Did they hear me laugh? Did they hear us last Friday night? No, I'm kidding.
To be honest about the tension that exists.
Were we that loud? Yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah, we picked up.
Oh yeah. It's
real.
100% real. Because part of the problem, which I've learned last year with everybody playing, and now I have two, son coaching, his girlfriend part of the team, and Ed coaching. They will call me when there's something wrong, or if they have an issue, and they'll call me and dump it on me. That's why I always say I'm the dumpster fire, and they like throw their crap on me, and I sit with it, and there's nothing I can do to help them and resolve the issue whatsoever. And so I sit with it, but meanwhile, they go on and they rectify it and they fix it and they change it. But I'm still sitting there with whatever the issue is and trying to gosh, I wonder what I could say to make them feel better, or how can I do this? And I'm just mulling over it and sitting with it. And meanwhile, they've moved on to the next thing. And it's just, you kind of are stuck with that. And then you said, I don't realize exactly. And you hold on to it. And so this year, my theme is, hey, if I can't fix it, I got to let it go. If I can't help, if they're not telling me for a constructive reason other than just to vent, I'm letting it go. That's it. One ear out the other. I mean, I'll be an ear, but at the same time, I got to let it go. So it's hard to do because you love them. It's interesting.
Yeah. And that's it, right? Like you're only, I mean, we've said this before, like you're only as happy as happy child. You care so much. And I thought, who was really poignant, and I want to say thank you again. Hopefully all of you have listened to the interview we did with Ryan Leaf's mom, Marcia. That was last week's episode. If you haven't listened to it, cue that up next, because Marcia was just so raw and so real and so honest. And I thought she just talked about walking through that with her son, walking through all of that pain of everything that they did and everything that they had to go through, of him being in prison for 36 months and all of the ups and downs. It was really, I don't know, it just was really poignant to me. And I've listened back to it a couple times and picked up new things every time I've listened to it. But she said something again that at the end of that, when she asked, what would we have done differently if you could go back to the beginning of motherhood? And your answer, Lisa, was that you wish you hadn't been so mad at Ed some of the times.
What would you say?
I would have probably been less mad at Ed at times. I was always mad at him because he was working and I was so tired. And I remember being just him coming home and I would just be angry. I wished I wasn't angry like that sometimes. But I was tired. I'll say that. That's my defense excuse. But I wished I just kind of wrote. I just wish I went with the flow a little bit better.
And I feel like, again, to double back on what we talked about with getting in fights at the beginning, just the reality of what it takes and what it is and the partnership and what you have to put into it. Chris is gone. So my husband, Chris, is gone this week. He's at a 40-hour training in Virginia. And I can't help but think about, it's a good reminder for me that when I travel, how much he carries and does, because it's good to be reminded of that.
Do you get resentful of him when he's gone?
So this is the thing. And I my answer to that I would like to say totally honestly is no, of course not, because I never feel like he's resentful when I'm traveling. But I think if we're being totally real, this is a big week. Collins, my 5-year-old, starts kindergarten this week. And so there's 18 different, school functions,
school
and
supply list.
Just all the stuff. Which is exciting and great, but there are moments where you're like, oh man. And so what I will say is that it's acknowledging that both of you are in it sometimes. And so I just reflect from your perspective, Lisa, and being the one who was in it all the time with the kids while Ed was playing or working or coaching. You need that outlet. I feel so grateful that I know that I'm about to go start traveling. My schedule is going to be crazy, but I'm lucky that I get to go have that and have even my own time in an airport by myself on a flight. And I used to feel guilty about that. I used to feel like I can't believe that that I want to, people be like, oh, it must be so hard to be away from your kids. It is so hard to be away from my kids and my husband. Yes. And those Fridays on the road during football season, like I cherish them. I'm working the whole time, but I'm on my own schedule. I can go get a cup of coffee. I can go to a yoga class. I'm doing my own thing.
Oh my gosh. I remember having all 4 kids and Ed playing, him being gone, and looking at other people just by themselves. And I remember just being so envious. I'm like, oh my gosh, what I wouldn't give to just get on an airplane and not worry. And now I can. And I'm like, gosh, I actually forgot that I used to be jealous. And now I'm going to cherish it even more. I can read a book. I remember just wanting to read a book some days. And you're like, oh, I wish I could just read a book when they were little. And you just couldn't.
I was stuck on a tarmac for
consumed.
3 hours on a flight this summer, but I was by myself, and it was
so
like
basically you're at a spa day. Like at a spa for you.
Exactly. It was glorious. I'm like, I don't care. I've still got the internet. I can read. I can do this work. I can watch a show. It was just beautiful. So the alone time and not feeling there's so much mom guilt. Okay, so it's one other story. We're hosting an event at the Pac-12 last week that was awesome, and it was all these different, Paycor is one of our main sponsors at Pac-12, and they brought in all of these really high-powered speakers. There was Jackie Joyner-Kersee was there. There was just a litany. Michelle Wee, really cool panel. Yogi Roth hosted one of the panels. And one of the questions that we got, I hosted a panel that was all women. And two of the questions that we got was about how do you handle mom guilt? Like what's the key to assuaging mom guilt? And it was poignant to me because I'm like that we live so much in the space of when we're at work, we're guilty that we're not home. When we're at home, we feel like we should be doing more for work or for ourselves or for something else other than just being of service to our kids the whole time. And so this idea of guilt, and I grew up Catholic and I am Catholic. So I think this notion of guilt is something that is internal to me. Yeah, exactly. I'm feeling guilty all the time. Yeah. I'm wearing a hair shirt right now. But I just think that you need to understand that like, it just doesn't do anything. Like guilt is this thing that we carry around, and there's always going to be more that you could be doing or not be doing or whatever. But the mom guilt, I feel it. And I am trying to work really hard on, like you said, I need to let it go. I need to let it go.
Yeah. I know. And I have a different guilt these days. I feel guilty if I can't make a game that my kid's playing. I'm like, and I hear all these other parents, they're like, oh, I'm going to be, they're mapping out their away schedule, the home schedule and all these schedules. And I'm like, I can't be at all their away games. Like I can't I'm basically not going to any away games because I have to, make a choice. You have to. It's like, oh, Sophie's choice. So which kid do I like best this week?
Which one gets butthurt the most when you don't go? Does Christian get butthurt when you don't go?
No, they're all pretty, they're so focused right now that they don't, but I think when it rolls around and then I don't think they realize it till after the game and then there's like no one there. That's when I feel sick to my stomach. Like I just picture a win or a loss, either one that they don't have a family member there to support them and let them know that they are loved. But we are all, every one of us watches every single one of their games. Like Christian sits there on Saturday and streams Luke's, the UNC Bears game and Luke's game. And we're all just get so riled up for everybody playing that but it's hard. It's when you're not there, when you're not physically there, you just are, I'm riddled with guilt every week. I'm like, oh, I can't be there. So anyway, it's just a different form of guilt than I used to have. So mom guilt.
I have this poignant memory of you talking about this, just brought this up for me. So when I remember there's all these things during the day, right? Like that I think that I'm going to try and go to at my kid's school and events that you can volunteer at and all these stuff. And I should be better. And I try to go to as many as I can. And I always thought, especially when the kids were really little, they don't know, they don't care. They're not going to realize if I'm there or not. But there was one like Christmas holiday event or luncheon at Collins's preschool. I think he was 2 years old. And we, at the last minute, Chris and I were able to go, but we got there late and all of the kids came in. And so you can kind of see them all coming in and they're all running to their parents and so happy and excited and yay. Aww. And little Collins, and we couldn't like get to him, but we could see him. He walked in and he's just looking around with his big eyes like, okay, I guess my parents aren't here, and just kind of like put his hands in his pocket and put his head down and sort of walked over to the little play area. And I have never felt so like I was pushing people, like tossing bodies, like I need to make sure that he sees that we're here. We're
He
here for
knows
you.
that you're there.
You're not alone. You're not abandoned. And I was like, man, if we had not been here, I wouldn't have known that it was a thing. But it's that feeling of, no, you need to having somebody. I remember so many track meets and basketball games and all of those events, being able to go see your parents, your mom or your dad or your grandparents in the stands afterwards. It does matter, even though you can't really realize it or verbalize it when you're a kid, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah. And all I can say is you just have to try and do your best. You're doing a great job. You're not home vaping, watching Dr. Phil. So you're good.
I'm just home vaping, doing a podcast.
Yeah.
I did. As long as I'm like admitting things, last night, and this is where we haven't gotten any negative feedback, and now like I'm going to bring it on. But last night I had so much I had to do for today, and there was some stuff that I wanted to get done for the podcast, and some stuff I wanted to write. And I gave my kids a 0.5 milligram of melatonin and put them to bed at 7 p.m. And I had like 4.5 hours of silence because I drugged my kids and put them to bed.
See, you had work to do. So you drugged your kids and you put them to bed.
It sounds worse when you say it.
Hey, TJ, do you have social services phone number by any chance? What's your address again, Ashley?
Our producer, TJ, I just want to shout you out right now. And I'm just going to assume that you're going to edit all of this out so that I can.
No, you're not. This is so good. Well, Along, now that we're being honest, the last time you were here, you're sitting in front of me and we're about a half bottle into a glass of a bottle of wine, half of wine, whatever. You're wasted, basically.
How many have you had?
You get a call from Collins School or wherever at YMCA, and they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, but somebody pushed him into oncoming traffic." And you're like, "Oh, is he hurt?" Like, no. He's like, "Okay," and then you couldn't get off fast enough. You're like, "I'm in the middle of recording. Sorry, he's not hurt. He's fine."
My glass of wine is getting warm. I gotta go, lady. Thanks for the heads up, and I hope you discipline the other kid.
In the middle of a really good conversation.
Well, the best is I came home and I asked Collins about that. I said, "Hey, bud, I heard you got I got a call from your counselor when I was out of town, and it sounded like something happened. You got pushed in the street when you guys were walking to the park." And he said, "Oh yeah, I did. He pushed me and I fell and I tripped in the street. But there were no buses coming when we were walking back. There were a lot of buses that drove by that spot." And I was like,
thank God he decided not to bully him on the way back.
Yeah.
You know why? Because Collins learned his lesson. He was nicer then. Yeah.
Exactly. Collins wasn't being a little shit.
He did what the bully wanted him to do. Finally.
He just gave him his lunch money and he survived, which is what I teach him. You know, you just hand it over.
Pushed into the buses.
Oh man. Yeah. I'm not a great mom sometimes, and sometimes I am. And that's part of being a mom, right? Like sometimes you suck at it and sometimes you're great at it. And as long as it's about like 50-50, you know, like if you feel like you're being a good mom,
I don't know.
50% of the time.
No, because I don't remember like being a bad mom ever. I just remember the good. No, kidding. Joking.
What do you think? Like, what do you have guilt about from when they were little?
Oh gosh. I just every day I had guilt over something. Like I wasn't giving one enough attention, too much to another, and you always try to make it even, and just stupid stuff. Like, oh my gosh, we had to go through fast food tonight because I didn't have time to cook for practice, and because I wasn't working. So I'm like, this is my job. I better do this right. I better step up to the plate. So I learned to cook. I had a really bad reputation in the NFL for being a horrible cook, which I was.
I don't believe that. I've had your scrambled eggs,
but I learned
they're the best scrambled eggs I have ever had in my whole. Truly. Can we just pause for a minute? I have never felt more taken care of than when I spent an evening at your house, and like that next morning, you just
so nice.
It was like I was home and had a mom, and it was.
Oh, you were kind. I don't know if my kids would say the same, but I tried. Let's just say that I tried my hardest, but yeah, no, I was always riddled with guilt, like. Late to practice, the wrong uniform, always, it sounds so stupid, but those are the things I would stress out over and worry over and whatever. And I wasn't perfect, but I tried. Let's just say I tried really hard, tried my hardest. So
that's all you can do.
I was not at home vaping, watching Dr. Phil.
Recording podcasts. Drugging your kids so that you could record podcasts. Well,
I
you know what?
never drugged. My mom drugged one of my kids once. I was like, what? She went on an
Really?
airplane and Max was screaming. And she gave
Oh.
him, someone was like, oh, here, give him a little bit of this. I was like, well, Mom, what
What
was
was
that? And she
it?
goes, I don't know, but he slept. I think it was just Benadryl. I hope. I don't know.
Well, he's always been
Poor
kind of the
Max.
wacky one, right? Yeah. Poor
He's
Max.
got those twitches or whatever. He's fine. He's fine.
Benadryl, whatever. Yeah, there's nothing therapy can't fix. And I think to me, so we're actually recording this on the 10-year anniversary of the Pac-12 network, which is wild. So my morning,
Which okay, wait, can I brag on you for a second?
Yeah, go
You
ahead.
were like one of the first people hired by the Pac-12 network, and you have stayed steadfast and true. You have been there the whole time. You need a crown. You're like the queen of the Pac-12 network, literally the queen.
Thank you, Lisa.
And you are the staple, and it's the best. You're amazing. You're so good, and you get better every year, which you don't think you can even do, but you're awesome. Yeah, no, you're not lucky. You work hard. You've honed your craft. You're an amazing interviewer, and you're caring, and it's fun to watch. And it shines through. It really does. It shines through. No, another thing is everybody we've interviewed so far, still contacts me, and they contact you, and I know it's because of you. They love you. They're like, what's everybody asks about Ashley, and they love you. It's amazing. So no, that's what's been so fun about this is the connections we've made with these moms. They all I feel like we've opened up my friend group. So and it's been awesome. So,
totally agree, and thank you for those
went
kind
out
words.
This weekend with some of them. So.
I really appreciate what you just said. So thank you. And I will say, yes, the goal, and we talked about it kind of at the beginning and of what we wanted to do and accomplish. And we didn't really know when we started this thing. We thought we had something. We weren't exactly sure. And I don't know that we're still totally sure what exactly it is that we're doing and what we're going to do. But we're having a good time. And I will say that being able to connect with these different incredible moms has been the biggest gift. And so there's an interview that we're going to have coming up. Trey McBride's moms, Kate and Jen McBride, unbelievable. When I say that if we could go start a full-on show with someone, like a network, it would be like
a cool view where we're not going to get political. We're just going to talk. The four of us would have the best time ever. Bam.
That interview that we did it was
so fun.
I cannot wait to share it with people. It was so fun. I have never laughed so hard. They were brilliant. They're awesome people, but they're in town because so they live in Fort Morgan, Colorado, but they're in town because their oldest son lives here with his wife, and they just had a baby named Cora, who's also my daughter's name. So I'm excited about that. And they were out visiting, and I drove like an hour north to this Apple Festival they were at because I just wanted to see them. And I brought my kids, and my mom got to meet them. And I'm driving home and I'm thinking this is all because we started a podcast and just started reaching out to moms. And this is just the very beginning. And it's having a network of moms. It's the most important thing to me as a mom that I have found, other than having a very supportive partner. The most important thing that you can have are great, true, real mom friendships. And I have those, and we are expanding that as we speak.
Everyone can teach you something different too. Every mom brings something different to the table. I've learned that too. And there's no one way to do this. There's no one way to be a mom. Everyone does it. Oh my gosh, there's not a textbook. Don't read the books. Just get rid of those books. Just do it and talk to other people, learn from other people. And that's what's fascinating. And people that do it completely different can raise amazing kids and vice versa. So that's what's kind of cool about it. You get to hear all these things. So, and I'm gonna hopefully get to see Marsha Leaf when the UNC Bears go up and play Montana. So
I love that.
State. I'll get to see her.
No,
so,
I think that's totally the gift of all of this is just really what we're trying to say is we were just trying to make more friends. We start a podcast so you can make friends. That's what
we're kind of losers. We're English majors. We're like nerds. So Ashley's cute, but I wasn't that cute. I have a lot of dates.
But also probably could use some friends. Lisa McCaffrey.
Who doesn't could use some friends, has a lot of time on her hands. Yep. Ding, ding, ding. Win-win.
Here we go. But okay, so back to my original point, and I will close this thought. I'm not very good. Have you ever noticed that I'll start a thought and then all of a sudden I'll be talking about
I have. Yes, I have noticed. Yes,
okay.
Yes, I have.
Well, that's because I'm a mom and my brain just has these
it's split. It's in two. No.
And all of a sudden I'm cutting food over here and then I'm yelling at somebody to be quiet. And I'm also thinking about the thing that I need, the paper I need to get signed. And I'm burning something.
And you know what else, Ashley? The weird thing about that is Ed couldn't do that in a million years.
Multitasking.
Like he cannot multitask. Do you remember the story? He got HelloFresh, the food.
Please tell the story. Yeah.
Yeah. So
we do Hello, but we should give a shout out to HelloFresh because if people don't know what it is, they are not a sponsor of ours, but we're going to speak it into existence.
But they should be. Especially after
this. Okay. So go ahead. Share your HelloFresh story.
I cooked my balls off. Obviously I have no balls. I cooked so much for these kids because I felt it was important. They had a really good meal every day, or at least I could get one good meal. Anyway, I cooked a lot. So Ed, after a while realized, oh, wow, she looks like she's working hard, felt a little bit guilty about it and said, okay, I'm going to try to divvy up the duty, especially when he wasn't working. So he, knowing his limitations, wasn't into
which is important,
cookbooks and following recipes and going to the store. Yeah, which is kind of important. He reads about HelloFresh and orders the HelloFresh boxes and orders them, would bring them into the kitchen and sit there and basically kicked every one of us out of the kitchen area. We were not allowed in the kitchen area for 30 minutes while he prepared the food and put the food together and was like adamant about it. He was like yelling at us, like, get out. It was awful. It was like, wow, this is not fun. I'll just go ahead and cook. Because he like toiled and and he would do it. And the box said, I forget how long it's supposed to take, but he wanted to do it in that amount of minutes. They have everything already pre-measured. All you basically had to do is put it together and like bake it. It's the easiest thing ever.
It's like cooking for dummies. Yeah, it is. It's they have everything measured out. It's all done. You just add it all together and heat it up a little differently.
So easy. And he would, oh my gosh, you would think he was splitting an atom in there. I'm like, dude, really, calm down.
And then finally like come in sweating and yelling at you guys.
Yeah, he had like a little apron on. Like he took it very seriously. And to his credit, it was good. But like, dude, calm down. Calm down. It's okay. Gosh.
So how long did that last?
Don't get me wrong.
How long did
that lasted. It did. We kind of humored him at the end. We're like, okay, whatever. We'd all just kind of go our merry way and let him have his time. But yeah, it lasted a couple months. So that was it.
Now he's into birds.
Oh, don't. Yeah, exactly. He's a bird watcher. Don't. He's such a nerd. Oh my gosh, so embarrassing. Yeah. Yeah, he found some app called Merlin on his phone and it'll track the sound of whatever the sound the bird's making. It'll register on his thing and he's such a dork. Oh my gosh.
What's his, but like, tell me the bird that he's most excited. Like, what does he get really excited
the
about?
Peregrine Falcon. Oh my gosh. He's obsessed. So he and I went to like this mountain area, kind of a remote mountain area. We were really high up and all of a sudden we hear this unusual sound and he goes, oh my gosh. He runs outside with his Merlin and he's listening to it and he's recording it and it registered Peregrine Falcon. And he goes, can I say a bad word? I guess I already did, didn't I? Anyway, all of a sudden he screams out, yeah, that's my Peregrine Falcon. And he didn't realize it recorded him also. So he was so excited about this dumb Peregrine Falcon. He sends it in the group family text and they all get it. And all of a sudden we're getting all these like hysterical going, that's odd, like crying faces laughing. And I'm like, what are they laughing? Why is it so funny? So then we're at dinner. It's a communal dinner. Like everyone eats together in the thing. And they have Kathleen Bates wrote, or Kathy Bates, I think, wrote America the Beautiful. So every afternoon they have the lowering of the flag and they play this beautiful song, America the Beautiful. It's really emotional. So we're standing up on the deck and it's all quiet. They're getting ready to do the flag. And Ed didn't know. And he presses that to try to hear it again. And all you hear, it's completely loud, is, fuck yeah, that's my Peregrine Falcon. And he didn't.
Fuck yeah. That's my Peregrine Falcon.
You guys, mortified. So embarrassed, hiding under the table.
God, Ed McCaffrey. I love that man.
Ed, yeah.
Well, but you know, Peregrine Falcons, if you don't know about Peregrine Falcons, you should go learn about them because they're
look them up.
They're amazing.
It's literally the fastest animal. They go 200 miles per hour, blah, blah, blah. So, okay.
Yeah. No, that's
all you need to know about your Peregrine Falcon. But
and I told you, my dad's obsessed with Peregrine Falcons. Yeah. They're amazing. They're amazing birds.
Oh, yeah.
No wonder Ed was so excited.
And there was a nest where we were staying.
Can I just say, I'm so glad that audio is now out in the world of Ed. Ed's definitely going to get mad. Is he been mad at you about anything that you said so far? Has it started any fights? Because hopefully us playing that audio won't.
Nope. Ed, unless we start giving his plays away for the UNC Bears, he's not going to be mad at anything.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about some of those.
Unless I start telling you, they're going to open with Red 24 bingo spread. maybe he'll come back and be mad.
That's how
Short
you'll
of that,
know
we're
if you're
good. We got
listening
carte
to
blanche.
your podcast is at
Yeah.
the end of every episode, you're gonna read one play from his playbook.
Right.
That will up our listeners.
Oh, right.
All the coaches that'll be listening.
People just be enthralled. Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
All the moms out there, that's what they want to hear is football plays.
Remember how we were giving Ed shit for not being able to like focus and close a thought? So I'm still going to try and circle back and close this thought that I was trying to have at the beginning. Yeah. This is about the 10-year anniversary of the Pac-12 network. So
the floor is yours.
My point being, thank you, that my morning has been spent with, old colleagues reaching out, pictures, videos from launch night. It's funny. I was looking at one picture of Mike Yam and I right before we went live for the first time when we were counting down. And oh my God, I'm like, I look like I need 30 Xanax. Like I look so stressed out. I don't look like I'm having any fun. That was actually professionally the most nervous that I have ever been in my life. Like so the way that it worked is we were supposed to tape everything, but then I think everyone sort of realized that day, hey, we've got the mayor here from San Francisco. We've got all the ADs, the presidents, the provosts, all the high rollers. We can't just, have this huge crescendo and then not actually go live. So at the sort of the last minute, we decided that we were going to do the open and the close of the show live, which is all well and good. But like, I remember just looking up and seeing through the window, like all these people, I didn't even know who half of them were. I couldn't even name all the schools in the Pac-12 at that point. And I'm like, here we go. Let's do this. And Stu Mandel, shout out to him and The Athletic. They wrote an oral history of the 10-year anniversary of the Pac-12 networks. And I did an interview for the piece. So obviously I knew some of what was going to be in it. But I say all of that to say that reading it and revisiting so many of these memories with my colleagues and friends over the last 10 years has been so meaningful and so special because there's a narrative out there, right? Like everybody's heard the criticism about the Pac-12 network and the failure of us to get on DirecTV and distribution, all of those things. But when you stop and step back and actually think about what the goal was when we started, all that has happened along the way, I feel like that's the most important part about anniversaries, birthdays, awards, ceremonies, like to stop and take a minute and think about what it all means and to just say those things to each other. Because I think going back to the point of this podcast, one of the things that has been so meaningful to me, Lisa, is to hear Chris Darnold tell us that she and her daughter, Frankie, had an unbelievable conversation after Frankie listened to her interview, or that Marcia, for when we talked about the thing that Ryan loved the most about her being his mom and her tenacity, like how much that meant to her. So I just don't think that we pause enough to take the time to reflect on what we're doing and how we got here and what it all meant. And
how far you've come. Right.
Yes,
yeah. The Pac-12, as much as, people want to rag it for certain things, you guys have done a pretty amazing job. You really have. And when it's all said and done, you started from nothing and look where you are. I mean, perfect? No, but oh my gosh, you've accomplished so much and you should be proud of that. You absolutely should.
There's been a lot. And obviously the biggest thing is that we wish more people could see it, of course. And that's the goal. And those media negotiations are going on right now.
Trust me, I do wish more people.
Well, what's funny is that when I sent you that art, I sent you the link to the article. I don't know if you've gotten a chance to read it yet.
And I haven't been able to read it yet.
Your boy Christian got a shout out in that.
Oh, he did. Okay, see it. I want to go back and who shouted him out?
Yeah, a lot of people felt, I can't even remember who said it, but a lot of people felt like it might have been Rick Neuheisel, I think, talked about, nice. The exposure. And there were, it wasn't just a Pac-12 network issue. It was an exposure overall issue of not enough Heisman voters watched Christian McCaffrey play that year. That was, and they had all admitted that. You even looked at when the ballots are submitted.
They admitted it. That's what I was going to say. That was the one thing I took away. I knew he was not going to win when I went to the award show in Atlanta prior, because I must have had 7 different voters. They were all media voters. I'd never even heard of the thing. Most of them were SEC affiliates. And I'm not kidding. 7 different people said, oh, I never got to watch him play, but I heard he's good. And they're voters. And those were voters. I'm like, they sent you tapes, buddy. What? You just admitted that to me.
You're a Heisman voter and you're not watching. Then I don't know what you're doing.
And you're not watching. Yeah, I was like,
be taken away. Yeah,
right.
It's a joke.
They should have taken those. I know. I don't mean to be mean, but I wish I knew who that was. I couldn't tell you who it was, and whatever. But anyway, I was in a ball pit once with Rick Neuheisel.
Oh, tell me that story.
There's nothing salacious. Nope. McDonald's Playland right in Lone Tree. Kids are little. And his kids, first off, all I remember is I was a hag. I was disgusting, like gross leggings, oversized sweater, probably pregnant at the time with little kids. And I'm in a ball that just throwing balls with my kids. And he ends up there. He's like tan, blonde, and his wife is like absolutely perfect blonde.
Sue Neuheisel is perfect. Yes.
It's totally, they're just perfect. And they have the perfect little kids. And mine are like
and you're like breastfeeding
like
two kids and like throwing balls at your other kids. Yeah, I can see that.
I have like ketchup on my face. Oh, it's just gross. I'm so embarrassed. I hope to God he doesn't remember. Oh, please. But yeah,
I'll text him after this. I'm sure he
good
does.
Times.
Oh, love Rick. But yeah, so I think that's the point. Is that if we want to leave you with one nugget for today, it is take a minute. You have no idea how much this means. Just take a minute. Take your phone out and text your mom or someone who has been like a mom or a friend or anybody who is important to you in your life and tell them that you love them and tell them why you love them. And I will tell you, I was listening to Scott O'Neill, who's he wrote a book called Be Where Your Feet Are. And I listened to a talk that he gave and he did the same thing he said at the beginning of every talk that he gives, he asked people to, okay, take out your phone and text your mom that you love her and something and what you admire most about her. And he said, now most people, and my mom included, are like, are you okay? What's going on? Like, what happened? Why are you doing this? And we don't share enough with the people who we love about what they mean to us. And I think if there's one thing that I hope that this podcast continues to do is as you listen to it and you're thinking about whether it was your mom or whoever it was in your life or a mom friend.
Someone that,
yeah, just someone who made a difference and telling them.
I love the idea of saying, telling them why too, grabbing a specific story or even a funny story or a story that happened with the two of them. Yeah. So I asked my kids that the other day. And along those lines too, as a mom, do that with your kids. Call your kids up and tell them, hey, I remember this time when you were little and this happened or whatever. And it opens the door for amazing conversations. It's been awesome. Like you've asked so many great questions to me and it made me think, gosh. And then so I've called my kids and asked them certain things and it's been opened up the door. It's been wonderful. It brought up
what's
tons
been
of
the
memories.
thing? We probably have to dive into more of this next time, but tell me like the one from those conversations, is there one that jumps out to you or a nugget or something, even if it's small?
Well, first off, will say this along the lines of me forgetting Luke that time. He doesn't even remember. Look, I'm not that bad of a mom.
Yeah.
He was so young. He didn't remember. So you know what? Screw you guys for criticizing me.
I still love that story because when I was listening to that story the first time, and if for those of our listeners who haven't heard the first episode, Lisa left Luke, her youngest son, at a birthday party
at a gym.
It
was at a gym, and he ended up at a birthday
and then
party.
He ended up at a birthday party, so he was fine. Yeah. But they didn't realize it had to come back, and he had was eating birthday cake and had a birthday hat on. I thought that he was like 7 or 8 when you were telling that story, and then when to come to find out that he was like 2, not even 2.
Yeah. Yep. Great parenting.
Yeah.
Couldn't have been nicer.
He doesn't remember, but I'm glad. So no trauma there.
So I'm good. I'm absolved. I'm absolved. No guilt. No.
You're a great
guilt.
mom. You are such a good mom.
He's not scarred at all. No scarred. No, I asked, Christian said it. And I thought he was going to say something else, but he just said 7-year-old football game finals. And it's the most memorable game I've ever watched him play, and he's probably ever played. He would say that's probably his favorite game. Oh my gosh, it was against Cherry Creek. They were the Hawks, and oh my gosh, we used to joke with him like, oh my gosh, Mikey McCauley's on the other team. He's eating his vegetables. He's eating his steak. Like he's finishing his plate. You got to. Mikey McCauley's in bed already, Christian. You got to go to bed. Like, oh, he did his homework. You need to do your homework. We were always holding that over his head because Mikey McCauley was like the stud player on Cherry Creek. He was a household name over here because he was just so good. So I think he ended up playing in college and did really well. Anyway, so we're playing Cherry Creek. We had already lost to them pretty big early on in the season. This is Christian's first year playing, mind you, too. And anyway, or second year playing. He had played a different team before. But we lost to the Cherry Creek opening game of the season and won every game after that. It was awesome. So we ended up at the finals against Cherry Creek again. And it was the most intense game ever. I think it was double or triple overtime. I can't remember that, but we're tied. And when they give the ball in the 20 and they go back and forth, and we had scored. So I think we were up by 6, and then they had the ball, and we each had trade off scoring back and forth. And they threw the ball to this beautiful pass to Mikey McCauley. And I'll never forget Christian as long as I live. It was the best play I've ever seen him make in my life. He literally jumped sideways in the air and batted the ball down. And that was it. That was a 4th down. And that's what won the game. And I had these beautiful earrings that my favorite person on the whole planet, Peggy Shanahan, rigged a contest and had me win these beautiful diamond earrings hoops. And I hugged the quarterback's dad. Ed wasn't there because he was coaching Max on the upper field. Hugged the quarterback's dad, Steve Clay's nicest guy in the world. And my earring pops off, no idea where it is. And I run over and I grab Christian, hugged him and like picked him up really high. And we're twirling around. And it was just amazing. He remembers that. He remembers me running off with my eyes like wide open, just grabbing him and hugging him. And it was like better than ever. Anyway, follow up on the earring though.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, tell me
earring. Yeah, more important, this gorgeous diamond earring, the most amazing earring ever. So I realized, oh my gosh, I bet I lost it in the celebration. The next day after a huge snowstorm, I go back to the field, find it under a pile of snow.
No way.
Find it. It had been stepped on. Yeah, it was in the end zone. I guess there wasn't a lot of touchdowns scored after that, but it was in the end zone and I ended up finding it.
I thought you were going to say that. I thought you were going to say that Christian remembers you picking him up and twirling him around and then being like, "You need to come find my earring. Let's go." Like that was going to be.
Yeah, no.
But you did find it.
The whole team, stop your celebration. No, I didn't even care.
Hold the handshake line.
It was like the most happiest thing. Yeah, everybody stopped. No, it was the next day I went back and found it.
Lisa, when you think about the games that you've watched him play and that he has played in, I feel like I've seen him play and just. I'll never forget the Rose Bowl against Iowa. It's one of my favorite games I've ever been to in my life. But
actually, that was my favorite.
That he remembers that because you never know what's going to resonate with your kids. I think that's the other thing that I have found is what they.
Thank God I was there.
They hold on to. Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank God you were there.
Because Max was playing on the upper field, their championship, and Ed was helping coach up there. So I was down below. So yeah, it was a very intense day.
Those are the moments.
So fun.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And it's about remembering those moments and sharing those moments. And I'll tell you one thing that I do that is
I didn't know what was going to come out of his mouth. I was a little nervous, but that's the first thing he remembered. That's the first thing he talked about. So anyway,
I love that.
Funny.
Well, and again, opening up the conversation with your kids and with your parents and sharing those stories, I think is so important. The one thing that I do, although I'm a little bit late on it this year, but every year on my kid's birthday, and I did it before they were born and when they were born, as well as I write them a letter. I'm really bad at scrapbooks. I'm really bad at there's no baby books, but I just write them a letter that is sort of like, hey, these are some things I remember about this year. This is what I want you to know in case, you're probably not going to be listening to me when you actually really need to hear this advice. And so I try to just be really intentional about writing them a letter every year. And so kids, if you're listening to this and I'm not around for some reason anymore, go in my Google Docs and you each have a folder and there's some letters for you that you should find. But I just think that it's the stories and making sure that you're say it again, tell them what you told them again and again and again. And the stories and realizing what resonates with your kids and with your parents is everything. So that's my advice for new parents out there, or even if you have been doing this a long time, is write your kids a letter, because it makes you really think about what you want to say to them. We say all of these things. I think about all the things that I say to my kids during the course of a day. Like I don't shut the hell up sometimes and I'm just hearing myself talk. Mm-hmm. But when you actually sit down and have to write it makes you focus on what on the big stuff and what you want to say. So anyway,
that's a great idea. I wish I had done that from year to year too, because you forget so many things too.
And it's been fun to even just go back and see, what, and read from before I had Cora and like what I was feeling.
I think that's even more special than a baby book or anything. So,
yeah. Well, good. I'm glad I felt that way. So I'm doing one. I've got one thing that I'm doing right. Of course, like I said, though, I think I missed both birthdays. So, because I started this podcast. Wow. So this is going to take the place of your 3rd-year-old letter, Cora, and Colin's your 5-year-old letter. So you just have to listen to this podcast. Okay. I love you guys. I'm really bad.
If Colin doesn't get pushed in front of a bus this year, it'll be a successful year. Yep.
Amen. Lisa, I love you. Let's do this again next week.
You're the best. Let's do it.
Fuck yeah. That's my Peregrine Falcon.